There is a psalm in the Bible that has the power to transform lives and touch the hardest hearts. It's Psalm 139, written by King David, which reveals one of the most profound and comforting truths about God's love. He knows us completely and never abandons us. When you feel lost, misunderstood, or alone, Psalm 139 emerges as a beacon of hope, reminding us that there is someone who knows us better than we know ourselves. This psalm is not just an ancient text. It is a living message that continues to impact lives around the world. God's perfect knowledge of you. The psalm begins with a powerful declaration. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. Psalm 139, verse 1. These words carry extraordinary weight. Imagine for a moment, the creator of the universe, the one who formed the stars and established the oceans, knows you intimately. David continues explaining the depth of this knowledge. You know when I sit down and when I rise up, you discern my thoughts from afar. V.2. This means that God not only knows our external actions, but also our most intimate thoughts, our secret fears, our deepest dreams. Often, we feel misunderstood by the people around us. Even those closest to us, family, friends, spouses, may not fully understand who we are. But God knows us absolutely. He knows why we react in certain ways, understands our deepest motivations, and sees beyond the masks we wear daily. God is present everywhere. One of the most touching parts of Psalm 139 is when David questions, "Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence?" V.7. The answer is clear. There is no place where we can hide from God, not because He is a relentless pursuer, but because His love follows us wherever we go. If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. V.8. This is not an oppressive presence, but a comforting one. In the highest moments of our life, when we are celebrating achievements and victories, God is there with us, sharing our joy. In the deepest valleys, when we face losses, illness, disappointments, He is also present, offering His comfort and strength. Think about the darkness that sometimes invades our life. Depression, anxiety, fear of the future, loneliness. The psalmist declares, "If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light about me be night. Even the darkness is not dark to you." V.11-12. For God, there are no shadows so dense that His light cannot penetrate them. You were formed in a special way. Perhaps the most moving section of Psalm 139 is the one that describes how we were formed. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. V.13-14. The word knitted in the original Hebrew brings the idea of weaving together, like a delicate and careful embroidery. God did not create us hastily or carelessly. Every detail of who we are was carefully planned and executed by divine hands. When you look in the mirror and see imperfections, when you compare yourself to other people and feel inferior, remember these words. You were formed fearfully and wonderfully. The word fearfully here doesn't mean something bad, but something that inspires reverence and admiration, something extraordinary. Your eyes, your smile, your unique personality, your talents, even your peculiarities, all of this was carefully planned by God. You are not a cosmic accident or a mistake of nature. You are a divine masterpiece, created with purpose and love. God has specific plans for you. The psalm continues revealing something even more impressive. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. V.16. Even before you were born, before you took your first breath, God had already written your story. This doesn't mean we are programmed robots, but that God has specific plans and unique purposes for each of us. He knows our potential, sees our possibilities, and works in all circumstances to accomplish His purposes in our life. When we go through difficulties and question, "Why is this happening to me?" we can find comfort in the fact that nothing catches God by surprise. He was there when it all began, He is with us now, and He will be with us until the end. Every chapter of our story, even the most difficult ones, can be used by God for our good and His glory. Unconditional and unshakable love. Psalm 139 teaches us about a love that doesn't depend on our performance. God doesn't love us because we are perfect. He loves us because we are His children. He doesn't know us to condemn us, but to love us more deeply. Many people grew up in environments where love was conditional. I love you if you do well in school. I love you if you behave. I love you if you are successful. But God's love is different. He loves us on our best days and our worst days. He loves us when we get it right and when we fail. He loves us when we are on the mountaintop and when we are in the deepest valley. Never abandoned, always loved. One of the greatest wounds a person can carry is the feeling of abandonment. Perhaps you have been abandoned by a father, betrayed by a friend, left by a spouse. These experiences can leave deep scars and make you question your own worth. But Psalm 139 declares a transforming truth. God never abandons us. Even when everyone else leaves us, He remains. Even when we ourselves are disappointed with our choices and failures, He doesn't give up on us. God's constant presence is not just a theological doctrine. It is a practical reality that can change the way we live each day. When you face challenges at work, you know you are not alone. When you deal with family problems, you have a heavenly Father who understands and is present. When you face illness or loss, there is someone who weeps with you and offers supernatural strength. Transformation through truth. Knowing these truths about God's love and knowledge has the power to transform us completely. When we truly understand that we are known, loved, and never abandoned, our perspective on life changes radically. Anxiety diminishes when we know we are in the hands of someone who knows us perfectly and has the best plans for us. Depression loses its strength when we remember that we were fearfully and wonderfully made. Loneliness dissipates when we experience the constant presence of the Creator. Fear of the future transforms into a hopeful expectation when we trust that the one who wrote our days even before we were born continues writing our story with love and purpose. Practical application for your life. How can we apply the truths of Psalm 139 in our daily life? First, set aside time to meditate on these truths. Read the complete psalm regularly, allowing its words to penetrate deeply into your heart and mind. When you feel alone or misunderstood, remember, God knows me completely and loves me unconditionally. When facing difficult decisions, seek wisdom from the one who knows all your ways. When you feel worthless or have low self-esteem, remember that you were fearfully and wonderfully made. Practice gratitude daily, recognizing that each day is a gift from God, carefully planned and full of possibilities. Develop greater intimacy with God through prayer, not just asking for things, but talking with Him as someone who really knows and cares about you. A journey of continuous discovery. Psalm 139 is not just to be read once. It is to be lived daily. Each time we return to this psalm, we discover new layers of meaning and experience its transforming power in new ways. Allow these truths to shape your identity. You are not defined by your past mistakes, by your present limitations, or by your fears about the future. You are defined by God's unconditional love, by His perfect knowledge of you, and by His constant presence in your life. The impact on relationships and self-worth. Understanding that God knows us completely and loves us unconditionally fundamentally changes how we relate to others and ourselves. When we are secure in God's love, we don't need to seek validation from others desperately. We can love more freely because we know we are loved. This knowledge also frees us from the exhausting task of trying to be perfect. We can be authentic because we know that God sees all our flaws and loves us anyway. We can take risks and pursue our dreams because we know that even if we fail, our worth is not diminished in God's eyes. The psalm teaches us that our value is not based on our achievements, our appearance, our social status, or what others think of us. Our value is intrinsic, given by God Himself when He knitted us together in our mother's womb. Finding purpose in God's design. Every person struggles at some point with questions of purpose. Why am I here? What is my life supposed to mean? Do I matter? Psalm 139 provides profound answers to these universal questions. When the psalm tells us that our days were written in God's book before we were born, it's revealing that each of us has a unique role to play in God's grand story. Our lives are not random or meaningless. They are part of a divine tapestry that is being woven throughout history. This doesn't mean our path is predetermined without choice, but rather that God has equipped us with specific gifts, placed us in particular circumstances, and given us opportunities to make a difference. Our job is to discover and embrace the purpose for which we were created. Healing from past wounds. Many people carry deep wounds from their past. Abuse, neglect, betrayal, loss. These experiences can make it difficult to believe that we are truly known and loved. Psalm 139 speaks directly to these wounded places in our hearts. The God who knew us before we were born was present during our most painful moments. He saw every tear, felt every hurt, and His heart broke with ours. But more than that, He can take even our deepest wounds and weave them into a story of redemption and healing. This doesn't minimize the reality of pain or suggest that suffering is somehow good. Rather, it affirms that nothing we have experienced is wasted in God's hands. Even our wounds can become sources of strength and compassion that enable us to help others, living with confidence and hope. When the truths of Psalm 139 really take root in our hearts, we begin to live with a different kind of confidence. This is not arrogance or self-centered pride, but a quiet assurance that comes from knowing we are loved by the Creator of the universe. This confidence enables us to face challenges with courage, knowing that God is with us. It allows us to take healthy risks, pursue meaningful goals, and step out of our comfort zones because we know that even if we stumble, we will not fall beyond God's reach. The hope that comes from this psalm is not wishful thinking or denial of reality. It is a deep conviction that because God knows us completely and loves us unconditionally, our story is not over. No matter what we have been through or what we are facing now, God is still writing our story, and He writes stories of redemption, restoration, and hope. Conclusion: a life transformed. Psalm 139 offers more than beautiful words. It offers a new way of living. When we truly internalize that we are known, loved, and never abandoned by God, our life transforms from the inside out. It doesn't matter what you have been through, what pain you have carried, or how lost you may feel at this moment. The God who knew you before your birth is with you now, and He will never abandon you. His plans for you are good and not evil, of hope and future. Allow Psalm 139 to touch your life today. Let its truths penetrate your heart and transform your perspective. You're loved, known, and never abandoned. This is the message that can change everything. The same God who knew David thousands of years ago knows you today. The same love that inspired these words continues to reach you at this very moment. You are not alone. You have never been alone, and you will never be alone. This is the promise of Psalm 139, a life known, loved, and accompanied by the very Creator of the universe. May this truth touch your life and transform it forever.